What's going on, Babylonians? It's me, Songs of Rage, back with another Tiny Tina's video to be able to bring to you, and today we're going to be looking over the Chillmonger video, or the Chillmonger build that I've managed to put together. This kind of like goes a little bit further from the broken SPELLSHOT and Graveborn build that we actually did earlier this week, because this one just kind of takes it to the whole new level and just basically becomes a massive DPS kind of outburst. Now, the only thing that I will say that's different from this compared to the Graveborn is the fact that the Graveborn actually does come with dark magic, which allows you to be able to heal and be able to consistently keep you in the fight, whereas this build doesn't rely on that mechanic whatsoever and is purely there to be able to go as much DPS as possible, as fast reload speed, fast firing as possible, to be able to clear the things as quickly as possible to make sure that you don't die that way. So without further ado, make sure you drop a like and a subscribe on the channel. It really does help the channel out massively, and let's get straight into the build. Alright, so the gameplay that you're going to be seeing in the background right now is just really showing off what this can actually do compared to like raid bosses, compared to like general mobbing, all that kind of good stuff. And overall, it's just insane. This is granted, this is just on the solo mode. This is Chaos 20 though, so this is the hardest difficulty that you can actually do, and this will be the hardest of the raid bosses. And we will actually go through every single one of the 4 raid bosses that this game can actually offer, especially with the one with the Maker. And the Maker is pretty much there to be able to, you kind of have to be able to do the raid mechanic to be able to consistently deal a decent amount of damage, but with this build we're able to do so much damage that we literally do not care whatsoever and just deal direct damage and just be able to take her out that way. So when it comes to like the gear and all that kind of thing, so if we go over to the main 2 guns that we really use for this, now depending on obviously if you're using mobbing or whether you're going for bossing, there are 2 different things that we want to be able to focus on. So when it comes to mobbing, you want to get yourself a Last Rites of Sunless Depths. Now this one I got quite fortunate on. I managed to get a chaotic drop, but this one is a mission reward that comes from the 20,000 Years Under the Sea, if I remember right. It's a side quest. I'll find out the location. I'll put the text up on the video right now because I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But what this is special, what makes this so good, is the fact that this does freeze damage, and the freeze damage ricochets across enemies as you start shooting. Now it does have a very slow travel time, so make sure you keep that in mind when you try aiming at enemies that are further away. But overall, it has a very solid fire rate. In terms of reload, it's not too bad because we actually have skills to be able to improve all that and everything. The damage is very, very respectable, especially on a chaotic version. The only downside that comes with this is the fact that we can't put an enchantment on it, which would have really just improved that damage and just probably would have made it actually a really nice boss, kind of like DPS kind of weapon to be able to use as well. But overall, this is probably the best gun to be able to use for mobbing. Overall, it's genuinely absolutely stunning in terms of being able to do that, and overall, it's brilliant. I genuinely cannot recommend this gun enough for you to be able to actually go out and use. Now if we go for bossing though, to be able to like absolutely burst down everything that comes in our way, we have ourselves a Nightshade of the Peak, and this is just basically any kind of like freeze SMG that comes from like Dahlia. I think there's also Hyperion that also offer the exact same thing, but what you're looking out for is this ×4 multiplier that you can see on the right hand side. Is if you basically have one of those and it's freeze element, you know you've got yourself the right SMG. So make sure you get yourself nice freeze. Obviously this pairs really nicely with the Berserker, and that's basically what we're trying to be able to do. Now the rest of the gear, the other 2 weapons, you can use whatever you want. I was trying to test out the Gaia shotgun because that does quite a lot of damage, and there is a way to be able to consistently keep our magazine topped up. So I was hoping to be able to hit that really nice fire rate that you get from when you get like as you fire closer to the thing. But I was finding that because it wasn't ricocheting to enemies, because it wasn't there wasn't a way, it can basically run out of ammo before you get a kill to be able to trigger that for that refill. It's just kind of, it's fun to use, but it's not necessarily the best way to be able to go about. And of course the liquid cooling is always going to be a great one to be able to go for. Unfortunately this enchantment only works on action skill, which we're not planning to use, so that's a bit of a shame. But definitely liquid cooling is one of the better guns to be able to use, so make sure you grab yourself one of those and make sure it comes with an enchantment that you can actually use as well. In terms of the melee, we're not actually focusing on any real one. This one just restores some of our spell cooldown, and I like the fissures that it actually does send out. But overall, we're looking for enchantments that obviously kind of stack up every single time we do it. So we're looking for things that activate on spellcast. So as you can see, we've got spellcast that increases frost damage. We've got things that increase gun damage, and then as we go into our shield, which is the last gasp, we've got things that increase our elemental damage by another 20%. And we've also got things on our spells, like the Enchanted Spellshot, so after casting a spell, increase our gun damage by 20% and our fire rate by 30%, and we've also got increases our damage just in general by 15% as standard on that. If we then look at the rings, this is pretty much standard compared to the Spellshot, and I haven't found anything better, so this will match the Spellshot Graveborn. So we've got basically gun damage, we're looking for SMG critical hit damage, just to be able to really, emphasize that a little bit more. If you're looking for something, make sure you get something like while in a dungeon, effects are increased, or when one ward is not full, increases effects even further. That's definitely a great one to be able to look out for. So we've got something like that on here. We've also got increased SMG size, so if you can find something like that, that'll really help out. The last gasp definitely can be swapped out for a different kind of shield. The only other one, well, that was just general, so fine. But you can get the one that's when your shield is broken, increases damage to nearby enemies by 100%. That's quite nice. But when it comes to like the raid bosses, you're not going to necessarily be close enough to be able to trigger that, unless you're really kind of risking it. But you could definitely get away with using that shield. It's definitely not a bad shout, and it would definitely help you out in some kind of mob situation as well. So the only reason why I've gone for this is to be able to increase the fire rate and increase the reload speed as fast as possible, because those kind of things really help out with the spell shot and being able to get spell weaving as much as possible. In terms of like the class mod or the armor piece, I'm still kind of looking for the best one to be able to use for this, but because we are using things like all damage dealt, we're looking for the bit at the bottom is quite nice as well, I suppose. The ability damage and spell damage are increased by 50% of our melee, so to be able to get a nice boost to our spell damage also feeds back into our main gun damage as well. So this one's definitely not a bad one, but I am looking for that perfect god roll, so make sure this will be the one point that I would genuinely recommend that you actually go out and just try and find another one fair to be able to like complete. In terms of like the necklace though, I do have this on generally just to be able to get my increase in loot luck. It does increase my berserker power, which is kind of near here or there, but the all damage dealt is quite nice. I do have a better piece kicking around, which I think whereabouts I think it's this one. So increases our frost damage and all damage dealt. So that's quite nice to be able to have. You can also have like one that increases your gun damage to be able to go even further as well. So there's definitely a couple of options that already come with this build and with this game save, which you will actually be able to download over on our Discord, so make sure you do actually head yourself over there to be able to go grab it. But overall, I've got this to be able to get like the better drops, to be able to get myself a better nice class mod. In terms of skills, we are looking at a Spellshot and Berserker kind of like combination. We are primarily going into Spellshot because Spellshot allows us to be able to get, with the capstone, to be able to sever the thread, to be able to instantly reset all our spell cooldowns. So the main things that we want to be able to focus on, we want to be able to increase our gun damage by our spell damage, so I've gone for a flat 3 points in that one to be able to increase it to 45%. We'll increase our reload speed to up to 40% with 5 points in there. We've got a couple into spell cooldown rate just to be able to, we kind of needed to be able to progress a little bit further down the tree at some point, so I've only got put 2 points in there. We've gone for a max out in just warming up to be able to increase our fire rate. The reason why is because with the shotguns and with the SMG, you can see some really nice RPMs just to be able to take out a lot of enemies all at once. We haven't gone for glass cannon. I genuinely don't agree with this much in terms of like many builds or anything like that, so I've always tried to steer clear of that. We've gone for high thread count to be able to increase our spell weaving stacks to be able to get more damage. Imbued weapon, every single time we activate a skill we get even more damage on top of our gun. We've got that for 5. We've got for Warcaster, so on a kill skill there's a chance that we're going to instantly reload our current weapon, and this is increased even further with spell weaving. So this really works really nicely with the shotgun that we actually do use, so the mobbing and all that kind of thing. So you just basically send so many rounds here, there and everywhere, and I've got a really nice clip with mimics which you'll be able to see in the background. We've also got 1 slot 1 kill to be able to increase our gun damage per stack of spell weaving, so obviously this ties in really nicely with high thread count, and obviously the capstone to be able to have a chance to be able to instantly reset all our spell cooldowns to be able to get our Buffmeister back even faster. The reason why the Berserker is such a really nice build to be able to like pair with this is because most of the guns that you actually plan to use as a spell shot really can like offer so much to the frost kind of side of things, and the main SMGs that you actually use as a spell shot are all frost type of thing, and the frost element that's in this game is pretty much the best by far. The only thing is that we only want to be able to complement that part of it. We don't want to be able to go all the way down to the capstone or anything like that. It doesn't really help us out too much, so we just want to offer so much more to our frost damage. So we've gone for 5 into Ancestral Frost to be able to increase our damage by 20%, nice and easy. In terms of the old ways, we gain bonus damage and damage reduction the closer we are to enemies, so this gives us a nice damage input, and this really kind of works with that other ward that allows us to be able to deal 100% damage to enemies when our shield is broken and they're within close range, so this could be a really nice pair with that. We've gone for 3 into Icebreaker to be able to increase the amount of damage we deal to enemies that are slowed, and the more they are frozen, the more damage we deal. I think we've only got 1 point into this because that actually comes from our class mod, so that doesn't really help us out too much. It only gives us a 4% weapon reload speed, but I suppose a boost is a boost. And then lastly, we've gone for 3 points into Cold Snap to be able to increase our movement speed, to be able to allow us to be able to zoom around here, there, and everywhere. And it also increases the frost efficiency of every single one of our guns that will actually use the frost element, to be able to trigger Icebreaker even more, to be able to trigger Ancestral Frost, to then obviously, you know, it just compounds all the weapons and all that kind of good stuff. So overall, this has a really nice synergy, and I genuinely do think this is probably the best DPS build out there, even more so than the Graveborn, and that's because I only did the Graveborn and then I went, hold on a second, and I've experimented with Berserker, and I've tried a couple of the builds, but I genuinely think that the freeze, the extra damage that the Berserker really offers just helps out. Now, the last thing that I didn't do on the previous build video is the fact I didn't have a look at the hero stats. So when it comes to this, we do have strength almost maxed out to be able to go for full crit damage. We've gone for a bit of more crit chance as well. But overall, we're kind of avoiding to be able to go into wisdom because the status damage isn't really the main focus of this build. So I wouldn't recommend doing that for this. Skill cooldown is definitely also another one that I would highly recommend just like staying clear of. So I'll probably see if I can try and put a few more points here, there, and everywhere to be able to like help out. But I think some of that is also feeding in from my from the previous class, obviously, of what I was using, as well as the myth rank. It's definitely better boosting that up as well. So the main ones you really want to be focusing on are these crit damage, crit chance, spell cooldown, and then to a slightly lesser extent, constitution to be able to keep yourself nice and healthy. So in terms of this is pure DPS, so you kind of want to go for strength and intelligence over everything. And there you have it. That is everything to do with the Chillmonger build video that I've been bringing to you. I genuinely been having so much fun with this. I was genuinely amazed as to how quick this can actually take down groups as well as the raid bosses and be able to do efficient farming. Now, obviously, it's not as niche as some of the other build videos that you'll actually see from people like Killer Jolts or from Moxie, for example, with companions and all that kind of thing. It's very kind of like hands-on. Obviously, you do want to be able to do the shooting, but this is very like typical of Borderlands, and I genuinely do think this is probably the best build that's currently out there, but I'm open to suggestions on that. Let me know in the comment section down below if you genuinely think there are better builds than this, and as always, hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for making your way to the end of this video. I hope you do drop a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel out massively, and thank you all to the Babylonian family, as always, for their continued support. It really does mean the world to us. Thank you so much, as always. Keep yourself safe, keep yourselves well, and I'll see you all on the next video.